Welcome to the Flute 360 podcast, where we incorporate a panoramic view of flute-related topics. I am your host, Heidi K. Begay, and this is episode 104, an interview with Heili Rosin. Founded in Dallas, Texas in 1996, the Carolyn Nussbaum Music Company is renowned for its international service for flutists of all levels. The Carolyn Nussbaum Music Company is your premier resource for everything flute. Their selection of flutes, piccolos, low flutes, and head joints from dozens of makers is truly remarkable. Also, their offerings of sheet music, instrumental accessories, teaching and health resources are unmatched. Their in-house staff offer an unparalleled level of expert knowledge and personal service, with the repair staff certified in all major brands. Follow the Carolyn Nussbaum Music Company through Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr to be updated with the latest news. Check out their website at fluteforyou.com. The Carolyn Nussbaum Music Company is truly your one-stop flute shop. Welcome, everyone, to another Flute 360 podcast episode. Today, my guest is Heili, who is the winner of the 2018 NFA Young Artist Piccolo competition. Currently, she spends her time performing as a soloist and as a guest principal piccoloist in several German orchestras. Welcome, Heili.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm really good. Thank you. How are you?
Good. So are you currently living in Germany?
Yes, I'm currently living in Germany since 4 years, actually.
Okay.
And I've been more or less been connected with Germany already since 7-8 years. So it's been quite a long time already.
Wow, that's amazing. So what part of Germany do you reside?
At the moment, I live in Bayern, in a city called Bamberg, which is 2 hours from Munich. Probably Munich is a larger city that everybody knows better, perhaps. But yes, currently I'm living here. And since I'm a freelance flutist, piccoloist at the moment, then I will just travel from here. And it's a really nice city to be living in. So I enjoy that really much.
Do you like to travel?
Yes, I actually enjoy the fact that I can be in different orchestras with different people. And in case, of course, it's not every week that you have to fly overseas or something, then I quite enjoy it.
Yeah, the flying overseas can really take a toll on your body.
Yes, it can be sometimes really too much, and it always takes time to get back in your rhythm, and then it can be a little bit annoying. But at the moment, it's been really nice this past year at least, and yeah, I'm really happy with this flow.
Nice. So are you finishing your studies currently?
I've actually finished my studies already. I finished my master in June in 2018.
Okay.
And I studied in Zurich. Back at the time, I was just pendling between Zurich and Bamberg. And yeah, so it was a big kind of traveling era in my life.
Yeah.
But now I can't say that it's more calm now, but in some ways, yes, because as a student, it's a little bit different, I would say.
Yeah, well, first, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I was wondering because I was reading your bio and I thought, oh my gosh, if she's finishing up her studies and is this guest piccoloist with several German orchestras, she must really be traveling a lot, and that can be crazy.
Yeah, well, I always say that I was never a perfect student because since I was 19, I always had some kind of orchestra, and I was always very complicated as a student because I never managed my bachelor in 3 or 4 years the way it should be. I changed schools. The journey was really not like it would be for a normal person probably, but at the end, I find it has never affected my career or somehow, because it's just important to, at the end, to find your way. And I guess it's just the way just the way it goes. It's different for everybody, I guess.
Yeah, I was just going to say everyone's path is so different. So you can't really predict what life is going to throw at you.
Yeah, that's really true.
Cool. So you have been invited to be a guest artist at the Tampere Flute Fest. Another congratulations.
Thank you. That's really exciting because when I heard from Beatriz, who I actually met through a project in the Netherlands, where she was playing a project together with me. And we met there. And since then, we've been, no, we can't say close maybe, but we've been in contact with each other. And yeah, last year she just wrote me, hey, would you be interested? And that's how it went. So I'm really excited that to be able to see her in Finland. That's something I cannot imagine yet because she's Mexican American and I know the way Finnish are. It's just not that Finnish are somehow, they are just another type of people and Mexican American is something else. So I'm really see her in that environment in the best meaning possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't she just a lovely human being?
Yes, she's a really nice person and I really appreciate her. She's always really open and you can talk with her about anything. If you're happy, if you're sad, it doesn't matter. You can discuss everything. And also as a colleague, it was really easy to work with her, which I really enjoyed. So, and she's a fantastic flute player, of course. So it's really, I think it will be like a nice flute party in Finland. And I'm really very much looking forward.
I love it. Flute party in Finland.
Yeah.
Cool. So you have many roles through this festival and you are going to wear these different hats of adjudicator, masterclass clinician, and performer. Do you have any advice for your colleagues or other professionals who are invited to be a guest artist at a flute festival?
Yes, I think for the people, for the professionals who are going to come there, and I would just suggest them to take the most of this festival, to go to all of the concerts possible, make contacts, try out flutes. Even if you hear somebody playing with a super tone or something, go ask how you do it or what instrument do you play, or just to get inspired and use all these possibilities to meet with others and just enjoy the fact that we have such a lovely, like I said, flute party happening there in Finland. So that's what I think would be, at least for me, that's what I'm planning to do, to go there and enjoy this event. And what I would also very much recommend to all the professionals who haven't been up in the north before, to, of course, go and try sauna. This is something that I would definitely recommend everybody to try, because I'm also from Estonia, which is not far from Finland at all. And we are famous for saunas. And I'm also looking forward to have this possibility again. It might sound funny, but this is really something in Finland that you should try, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so jealous. I hear Finland is a beautiful country.
Finland is a fantastic country. Since I was a child, I actually spent most of my summers in Finland. So my Finnish is not so great, I would say. I always try to say that it's great, but it's actually not. But it's very similar to Estonian language. They are in the same group of languages.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, and also the people, now that I've been living in Germany, I've been living abroad for quite a long time. And always when I meet Finnish people somewhere, we always find this similar kind of way we speak to each other, the way we make jokes. And it's a lovely feeling when, meeting fellow Finnish or fellow Estonians. So it's not a home feeling, but it's very close to where I'm from. So it's a lovely, lovely thing.
Oh, how nice. I just love how you said in your answer that when you go to these festivals, whether you're a student or a professional, to ask questions like, hey, I really like your sound. What are you doing? And what I'm taking from that is, you're never too old to be inquisitive and curious. And I think it's great to start up conversations with people you may not know.
Yes, I think people are getting more and more aware of that one shouldn't or really shouldn't be afraid to ask questions. Something we all have our things that we want to improve in our playing or as a human being or on the stage or even, I don't know, the way we look, doesn't matter. But there is always a possibility to ask or just to talk about things. And this way you can find out what version can fit you and how will you improve as a musician. So I think it's becoming also more and more popular now among people. At least here in Europe, I feel it more and more that people really want to know what the people think, what do they do daily, how they practice, and so on.
Yeah, that engagement.
Yeah.
Cool.
Totally.
So specifically for the students, what advice do you have for them if they are involved in a flute festival's flute competition and or masterclass? Any advice for them?
Yes, I would recommend them as well to go to all of the concerts, as many as possible, because there is a list of such a great musicians that are going to give recitals, that are going to give master classes. You can, even if you are not participating yourself, for example, when you go only to the competition, when you're planning to go only to the competition, then I would recommend to also go and listen to the others that are playing before or maybe not before, but after you, different age groups, then all these recitals that the people who are going to be in the jury and guest artists, including myself, to go and listen. And for example, later, if you have any questions or if you just want to discuss something, then please come and ask. And we are so happy if, especially when the young people are eager to ask questions and they want to explain maybe their ideas, or we can discuss music. And this is always a really fun part. So this would be my advice to them for sure.
That's great. And speaking of asking questions, that's how I met Beatriz. We were at the NFA San Diego Flute Convention. I think that was like 3 or 4 years ago. And she gave a masterclass, or I should say a workshop with Erica Peel. And afterwards, I had a question, like a follow-up question on something she mentioned in her presentation. And I went up to her and just started talking and asking and picking her brain. And that's how our relationship and our friendship blossomed from that encounter.
Yes, that's so nice. Sometimes I remember myself being young, and even when I went first time to my teacher, who was still actually a solo flutist of the Estonian National Symphony Orchestra. And I used to just travel between Tallinn and my home city to him every week. And he always told me, just call me every time you can come. And I was always sort of hesitating. Should I call now, or is it the right time? Or maybe I would better send a message or something, because I don't want to disturb. So that was this kind of a feeling that I always had myself when I was a teenager, 15, 16 years old. And now, since I'm also 5-6 times a year teaching myself, giving masterclasses in Estonia, I always tell the students, please ask if you have any questions whatsoever. Even if there are no stupid questions. Mm-hmm. So if you have something to ask, or even some kind of ideas that you want to discuss, or just want to ask general questions, how does an orchestra work, or how do you play in an orchestra, or who do you play with, or what instruments do you play, or which conductors do you play? There are no silly questions. I think it's all allowed and really necessary, because you really never know which kind of path in the future that maybe you will meet these people again in your life a lot later sometimes, but then you will have a lot of catching points with each other. So I think it's a really nice way. This is how this whole music and musicians network works, and I think it's a really nice way. So the more you get to know different kind of people, even not always flutists, but musicians or artists, the better it is. I really find it that way.
I love that. So for the students out there who may not know, you have been a prize winner through several international competitions. Can you share with us your mindset, your preparation, any advice that you have? Because for me to read that you are a prize winner at several international competitions, to me, that screams consistency. Can you talk about that?
Yes, it does scream about consistency, but my way of doing competitions has always been this kind of mindset that not every day is a perfect practice day. So every time I'm looking at a competition, okay, I have that much time. So I always take that into account, that not every day it's not going to be possible to practice 5-6 hours a day. And the way John Lennon said once, life happens when you're busy making other plans. So this is what I do. And also to create for you this kind of perfect or really great practicing conditions. For example, before this 2018 competition at the NFA, we just bought a summer house by the sea in Estonia. And I had one big hall there just for myself the whole summer. It was a beautiful summer, and I could just relax and I could practice perfectly. So this kind of preparation, there was some kind of a beauty in it, because I left Estonia and I had such a great feeling. I was really well prepared. And actually, I noticed later that when I found out that I got this first prize in that competition, then I realized that actually the most beautiful part, the fact that not this moment when I found out that I won, but actually the process of practicing for this competition and the development through this. Because my teacher, she's also American, Pamela Stahel, she's the principal piccoloist in the Zurich Opera at the moment. And I just flew to Zurich 3 days before we were supposed to fly to Orlando, and we worked intensely just before also, and then we flew there and it all worked. So you need to have this great way of organizing yourself, and of course prioritizing practicing always. But it's also important that some days you will let yourself to have 1 day off or half a day off, to have time to digest all this information, practicing process, and yes, musical ideas and all these sorts of things. So for me, this is something that it's very important.
So the organizational skills and the process is what I'm pulling out from your very well said answer.
Yes. And for me at the time, I also can't emphasize that enough. It's also very important to stay active also in a physical way, because I went running almost every day. That's what I do almost every day, because I also have a very energetic dog who needs to run every day, and he keeps me, of course, also active. But all these things together, and of course the most important thing is to practice, but that's anyway, everybody knows that. So this is something I would add just as an extra thing. For me, it worked that way.
No, that's perfect. I mean, if we don't take care of ourselves and our body, how can our body deliver the things that we want it to do? You know, like practicing lots of repertoire for a competition. So we have to eat well, sleep well, and just manage ourselves in that way.
Exactly. And also this position that we are in, maybe with piccolo a little bit less, but with the flute, it's always this kind of, it's still not a really natural position that we are playing in. And we sit or stand and we don't really move very much, except for our fingers maybe, but it's really an important part of the preparation as well. And for the head, because if you go running or do any kinds of sport, then you will have also the time for your brain to have a little bit of break and get yourself well again, to be able to start with a fresh head again.
Yeah, to find that clarity.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. So here we're talking about the process, and you've mentioned exercise and running with your dog, consistent practice, things like that. Those were all really great tools and nuggets that you just gave us. Are there any other routine that you engage in Like, for example, meditation or the like?
I don't normally meditate. I've tried it before, but maybe it still needs some practice. Probably it does. But what I've been into lately a little bit is, since we are also having this podcast here, and it's getting very popular, all these podcasts, people giving their ideas. So I've been following the Mind Over Finger podcasts. And there have been very many helpful podcasts that I've been listening. Also, I'm quite a big fan of Michael Neill. He's also having a lot of ideas how to clear the head and make this demon inside you, what we all have. Some people more, some less, especially about performing, preparing, all these kinds of things. The way he sees all these kind of topics. So I've been very much enjoying this podcasting because I find it important. Part of being a musician is to practice mindfully, and to perform well, you need this kind of inner peace, because otherwise, yes, we can do so much harm to ourselves with only what's between our ears. So it's actually incredible.
No, I love that. Thank you for those resources, because I'm just trying to get into your head and see how you go about your day and what your routine is like, because obviously what you're doing is working for you. And if any of these resources that we can pull from your life and maybe suggest to a student or a professional that could help them, then that's a win. So yeah, that's why I ask.
Yes, I think it's, since people are talking about it, at least I've felt that people are more and more talking about their feelings and how it's always not necessary to express only good feelings or positive feelings, but also to say that, I don't know, I'm not feeling well. I felt like I didn't play well. I didn't perform well. This audition really didn't go well. And to get into this really to the root, why it could actually be, and how are we on stage? How is what people are talking about a lot is this performance anxiety always. And we as musicians, it's really important to deal with these problems if they are there.
Mm-hmm. No, I couldn't agree more. And just, I think, like you mentioned, performance anxiety, and people are talking about it. I think if we bring up these like fears or anxieties to the surface, then we are revealing these not so pleasant, emotions at times. And by revealing them, I think we all feel a sense of, yeah, I'm not the only one. And it makes it easier, I think.
Yes, totally. At the end, we are all humans, and we all have our good and bad days, and some days they're in the middle, and it's totally normal. And I find it important.
Yes, of course. So festival aside and competitions aside, are there any last sentiments that you would like to share with the flute community?
I was thinking maybe to talk a little bit how I actually came to piccolo playing, because obviously I also started with a flute. I started with the piano, actually. I was 4 years old when I started. And actually I started with the flute also quite late. I was 11 years old. So actually for a wind instrument, that is quite late. And the piccolo, sort of normally it comes on the way. It's when you play the flute already, then at certain moment you get some kind of a gig or orchestra project, and sooner or later you will have that second or third or even first flute, and it says you have to play the piccolo as well. So of course the first time for me was also the same, but actually there was this really funny call that I got when I think I was around 20 years old, and I got a call from the Leipzig Radio Symphony Orchestra. And back at the time, the chief conductor there was Christian Järvi. And I had been part of a member of the Baltic Sea Philharmonic at the time. And we knew each other from there. And he called me because the piccolist there was sick. And they asked me, could you come and play the piccolo part in Wagner? And I was so young, and I actually didn't know at all what to expect. Of course, I had been trying to play the piccolo before, but I got the score one evening before the rehearsal the next day, and it was a whole piccolo concerto, actually. So it was just full of really high and also really, really silent bits in the third octave alone or with really little accompaniment. And I think when I should start with something like this now, when I'm 29 and with so little experience as a piccoloist, I would never say yes to this. But back in the time, I was so young and I said, yes, of course I'm going to come. And it worked. And since then, I had this feeling that I really like this instrument because I managed to do it really well. And since then, things started happening towards this kind of a little bit different kind of career direction, because I was working in the National Opera as a principal flutist back in the days. I was 19. And then I got this call and I took the opportunity, and now I have this feeling that this is actually where it started. And of course, I had a lot of really inspirational teachers along my way, especially Pamela Stahel, who is now my really good friend, but she was really a person, a friend, a teacher who helped me along the way and helped me to become who I am today. So I'm really thankful to her also. So it's been a very interesting journey, and piccolo has been, I think it was not so popular 10 years ago, for example. So now the general level has gone a lot higher, and also in the auditions you hear so many great players and such a good level of piccolo playing. And also back at the NFA, it was really, I was actually really surprised that I even got to the semi-final, and even more surprised that I won it. But it's amazing what development has it been also with the instruments. Back in the days, there weren't such good quality instruments as now. So I'm really, really happy to be able to play both instruments. So it's flute and a piccolo. So yeah, it's been a fun journey, and I hope it will continue even more exciting. So.
No, that's amazing. I love it. Your story at 20 years old. It's just so full of life and saying, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And just jumping into something, and you look back at that and you think, oh my gosh, you know.
Yes, but at the moment I would never, even with this kind of knowledge and this, without knowing the instrument at all, I would never do that anymore. But there is this kind of beauty in being so young, and then you are so open, and you don't worry about things as much as you do later. Somehow it's like this.
It actually worked in your favor, because like you said, if you got that call now, you'd be like, heck no. But back then at 20, you were able to say, oh, sure, you know, and didn't think twice about it. I love it.
Yes, and it was really exprompt. I hopped on a plane 2 hours later, and the next morning at 10 was the rehearsal, and that's how it went. And it was a whole 2 weeks or 1.5 week project, so it was quite intense and long. So it was nice memory now.
Well, congratulations with all of your successes. And I'm so happy that you get to offer your expertise and your beautiful piccolo and flute playing at the Tampere Flute Festival. And I hope you have a great time in April.
Thank you so much.
Today's sponsor is brought to you by J&K Productions. Did you know that not only are they a production company for podcasts, but they are a recording company for musicians? Any musical recording needs that you may have, J&K Productions can fulfill that need. They have all the necessary equipment and expertise to record your next flute recording for college or graduate auditions, competitions, summer festivals, or a flute album. J&K Productions can record any setup imaginable, from solo flute, small chamber, flute and piano, and much more. Consider J&K Productions for your next recording project. Contact them at jkproductions.media. Thank you for listening to the Flute 360 podcast. For more information, please visit heidikbegay.com. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review in the iTunes store. Let's talk about flute.